Daniel Sports Central, Big Over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 11 matchup between the LSU Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in Week 11. You got LSU, who's coming off of their massive win over Alabama. They knocked off the Crimson Tide in overtime last week, and LSU is one of the hottest teams in the country right now, as they take on an Arkansas team that is coming off of a disappointing loss in Week 10. This is a huge opportunity for the Razorbacks. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting with your team trends. LSU knocked off Alabama 32-31, and LSU is back from the dead. This team, they have really come around the past few weeks. They've won 3 straight heading into this matchup. They're 7-2. They're ranked in the top 10. I mean, LSU is really looking good right now at a 7-2 record. And as for Arkansas, they lost to Liberty 19-21. They had a significant, they were down for a while against Liberty, and they kind of crept back into that matchup towards the end, but they just couldn't finish it. And Liberty got the win there by 2. And at this point, Arkansas is 5-4. This team's chances of being a dark horse contender are now gone. But for the Razorbacks, this is still a team that needs to get up to that 6-win threshold to be bowl eligible. And their last 3 games are actually pretty tough. They got LSU, Ole Miss, and Missouri on the road, who's playing pretty well right now. So, you got to win one of those last 3 at least, and I feel like this is a huge opportunity for the Razorbacks to, 1, get bowl eligible, and for 2, to knock off a team that is red hot right now. They definitely can do that. Games be on Saturday, November 12th in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So the Razorbacks are the home team for this matchup. 11 a.m. Central is the kickoff. Spread's going LSU by 3, so they're only a field goal favorite in this matchup, and LSU is currently ranked 7th in the AP poll. We'll see where they stand in the college football playoff rankings. I personally have got LSU ranked as number 5, so I've got them a bit higher than that. But, I'm assuming the college football playoff rankings are going to have LSU, considering they had them at 10 last week versus the AP poll and the other polls that had them lower. I could see LSU being in the top 6, maybe even number 5 this next week, so we'll see where they stand. But over under 62, FPI is going LSU as well, 72.4%. Series history, LSU leads at 42-23. Arkansas won the last matchup, and LSU's won 7 out of the past 10. Stat comparison, LSU is 40th in points per game. They're 35th in points allowed. They are 53rd in pass yards a game, 45th in rush yards. And then for yards allowed, they are 69th in passing, and then 44th in rushing. So, overall, LSU is a solid team on both sides of the ball, especially in the past few weeks. And offensively, they've really come around. Jaden Daniels, the Arizona State transfer quarterback, he's come a long ways since his time at Arizona State. And that's kind of been a common theme of this season, is transfer quarterbacks have really played well. You look at Jaden Daniels, transfer from Arizona State. You look at, Michael Penix over at Washington, the Indiana transfer quarterback. He's really playing well. Hendon Hooker used to be at Virginia Tech. This is his 2nd season with Tennessee, but you get the point. Transfer quarterbacks are doing really well this season. And, for LSU, he's been great. 14 touchdowns over 1 pick. He's also the lead rusher on this team with 600 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. He's likely one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. And as for Arkansas, they are 37th in points per game, 96th in points allowed. They are 62nd in pass yards a game, 9th in rush yards. This is a strong rushing team in Arkansas. And then for yards allowed, they are 121st in passing, 71st in rushing. So this is one of the worst teams in the country in pass yards allowed, with 120 or being 121st. They're allowing an average of 302 pass yards a game, which is pretty terrible. So, and that's been the main weak spot for Arkansas going up against teams this season, is once again in the secondary and in the passing defense. But they've had success on the ground, rushing for nearly 240 rush yards a game. So the Razorbacks have been solid, at least in that area. Recent matchups, LSU, they beat Alabama 32-31 in overtime, beat Ole Miss the week before 45-20, beat Florida on the road 45-35, lost to Tennessee 13-40. Ever since that Tennessee loss, this team has been, they've been on fire. They had a huge win over Florida and obviously knocked off Ole Miss considerably, and obviously the huge win over Alabama in overtime. So, that might just show that Tennessee really is a really good football team, even though they just took their first loss of the season this past weekend. And LSU also beat Auburn 21-17. As for Arkansas, lost to Liberty 19-21, beat Auburn 41-27, beat BYU in a shootout 52-35, lost to Mississippi State 17-40, lost to Alabama 26-49. So just a really inconsistent team. That's all you can really say about Arkansas. And I mean, should you have beaten Liberty this past weekend? Probably, but I mean, the Flames aren't even that bad of a team. They're currently sitting at 8-1, and they could be they've been kind of a surprise this season. But nonetheless, still, it's kind of been a disappointing season for Arkansas, considering the talent that this team had return after 2021, which was a great year for the Razorbacks. It has been a little bit down, but this team is at 5-4. It's still been a good season. Key points for this one: LSU 7-2. The Tigers are back from the dead. This team, since 2019, since their national title win, they've just been. 2020 and 2021 were just bad seasons for LSU, and this team at 7-2 right now. This is a good football team here in LSU, and now, with 2 losses, you can't imagine that LSU at this point gets into the college football playoff. But you make it to the SEC championship. You face off against Georgia, and if LSU wins that game, LSU's got a really strong argument to get into the college football playoff as a 2-loss team, and I personally think that we do see that if LSU does end up winning the SEC title game. But otherwise, it's going to be really tough for LSU to get into that top 4 unless a lot of chaos ensued. But at this point, the Tigers are definitely a force to be reckoned with, and they're definitely one of the hottest teams in the country, coming off of 3 straight huge wins, and they emerge as the favorite to win the SEC West. They now got wins over Ole Miss and Alabama, the other 2 contenders in the SEC West. So basically, LSU is multiple games ahead of both of those teams, and so it's LSU's is in the top position in the SEC West. They're in control of that division, so it's theirs to lose at this point. And as for Arkansas, this team is a talented team that is too inconsistent. Once again, that's really the best way you can describe this Razorbacks team. But Raheem Sanders poses as a big threat. He's had a great season to this point, rushing for over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. And Arkansas as a whole, this team needs a win at some point here in the last 3 games. I still think Arkansas could win. They could win 2 of their last 3, that's for sure. But this is obviously a huge opportunity for them going up against what is a very talented LSU team. And so that's it. Let's get the prediction here for LSU and Arkansas coming up here in Week 11. I'm going to go with the Tigers. 31-27 is my predicted final score. There's a possibility that LSU's huge win over Alabama lingers into this week. Potentially we see a slower performance out of the Tigers. That's happened many times before, and it usually comes when you least expect it. But I think LSU still wins this game. It's going to be close. I think Arkansas really puts up a fight here, but I think LSU at this point, I wouldn't honestly be stunned if LSU won this game just because of how massive of a win that was against Alabama, and this team is coming off of a gauntlet of a past 2-3 games. But in the end, I'm going to go with LSU to pull off the win, 31-27. So I'll say 55% towards LSU. I think this one is a close game, and Arkansas once again puts up a fight over under 62. I'll take the under for this one and LSU to cover the spread in the end, which is currently a field goal towards LSU. So we'll see how that adjusts over the course of the week. But as of right now, I've got LSU covering the spread. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.